On the warm-up lap for race number 3 of the New Zealand Super Truck Championships, and the good news is Ron Salter has got the ex-Denny Holm truck back and going on the circuit. He's had a terrible old time here at Pukekohe over the last 2 races, and bad news for Troy Wheeler because he has been penalised and he's at the back of this grid for excessive speed on the back straight. He's exceeded the 160km/h speed limit. Let's have a look how the grid lines up for this one. On pole position, it is the 4-time champion Ron Salter, alongside of him Brent Jones. Row number 2, Calvin Bonney and Tony Broad. Malcolm Little and Colin Hooper make up row number 3. Ken Rowe and Andrew Porter in 4. And in row number 5, Troy Wheeler licking his wounds in the Scania at the back of the field.
I don't know about this penalised thing. Disqualified comes in.
Just 1 kilometre? Was it a policeman that got him?
It's not even the Christmas holiday period.
No. I think they call it a pace track. Oh, what's all that? Oh.
Yes, they are.
So away we go with race number 3 of the New Zealand Super Truck Championships here at Pukekohe Park Raceway, and it is the 4-time champion in the ex-Denny Holm truck. Ron Salter has gone into the front. Brent Jones through in 2nd place, then it's Broad by the look of it. Calvin Bonney up there in 4th. In behind him, Colin Hooper, Malcolm Little, I should say, Kenny Rowe, and at the back of the field there is Troy Wheeler, suitably chastised after beating the speed limit by, can you believe it, 1 km/h.
Well, I didn't know it was Christmas time, Phil.
Exactly, that's the police tolerance, isn't it, for the upcoming holidays? Meantime, back in the racing, Salter leads it.
We can peer through the diesel smoke. Andrew Porter in the background is still weaving, getting some heat in the tyres. I think this caught a few guys by surprise.
Yeah, I think you're right, and they've really got a bit of work to do now, especially this man, number 3. There is...
It did catch us all by surprise. Mind you, look at the time.
But they didn't know either,
no,
surely.
No, they did. No. There.
Yeah, one more, yeah.
And we wonder why they run 3 hours late at the end of the day. You want to get a picture of the big main.
Yeah, I think they are. So, race number 3 about to start here at Pukekohe Park Raceway. Big crowd in, and they're here for the Super Trucks. Ron Salter, the 4-time champion, on pole position. You're right here with Andrew Porter. He's toward the back of the field, but further back again is poor old Troy Wheeler. There he is. We're right with Troy Wheeler now. He'll be feeling suitably chastised because he got pinged. Well, we've talked about the 160km/h limit. He got pinged for being 1k over. 1k!
wasn't aware it was the Christmas holiday period, Phil.
Exactly right. I don't think the police tolerance is started just yet. Let's get back to the serious stuff. Salter on the inside. Brent Jones, the Detroit-powered KM Bedford, alongside of him. That's the front row. Then we go back to Tony Broad and Kelvin Bonney, the cowboy. Let's hope that the International gets through the laps required here for race number 3. Don't be excused thinking that was an eclipse of the sun. It was just the diesel. The revs come up. We go racing. Salter's got the nose in front. Here comes Malcolm Little down the inside. Bonnie's going to be in this as well. They're going to swamp Brent Jones as they head down into 1. He's going to be caught out for track position. And Ronnie Salter, I think it's something like 15 years since he drove a truck, is going to be back in the front here at Pukekohe Park Raceway. You're on board here with Malcolm Little. Great start from him from the 3rd row.
Kenny Road, straight through turns 2 and 3. Let's see where Andrew Porter last race was unbelievable. Wherever he passed everyone was just quite incredible.
Yeah, well, I talked to him and he said should I say, Malcolm Little just opened up the gate at the hairpin and he just drove on through. He just ran a little bit wide. Watch for Malcolm Little. There he is in 2nd place now. He's just outpaced Salter as they come up to the 160 km/h limiter. All these trucks governed, remember, they might have 1,500 horsepower.
Here goes Porter up the inside and Little's left the door open
well,
again.
He's done it again. It's a repeat of what we saw in race number 2 and Porter's going to capitalise on it. He'll go into 2nd place. Bonnie's leading it though. The cowboy in the front. Malcolm Little's coming back at him down the inside. Oh, and just a cigarette paper width, to use an old term, between the Kenworth and the Freightliner. But look at Porter. He said, see you later, guys. That's the initiative I needed. I'm gone.
Did you see those wheels on Little's truck as he hit that curve?
So it is eventful, to say the least. Lap 1 here in the Super Trucks. You're on board here with Troy Wheeler. Just up ahead of him, it is Ken Rowe. And also Hooper, in fact, it's Ron Salter in the ex-Denny Holm Scania. There they are, Scania on Scania. Salter maybe just having a few more problems here. He's just getting swamped by these guys.
He's had a bit of a shocking weekend so far. That truck just not performing very well, and then it caught fire. So his team way behind the 8 ball and not making it that enjoyable for this memorable occasion.
That's right, it's been 10 years since the Super Trucks have been at Pukekohe Park Raceway, and the big crowd here are enjoying the action. Brent Jones in the little KM Bedford with the Detroit Power starting to make his presence felt. Tony Broad in a similar truck, just having a battle there with Troy Wheeler as Wheeler wakes his way up from the back. At the front, it is Andrew Porter. Malcolm Little a little bit closer. Calvin Bonney in danger of having his pocket pinched by Kenny Rowe by the look of it. Into the hairpin they come. There is Troy Wheeler. Been a pretty good drive from him as we ride on board with him from the back of the field. Remember, he started at the back because of a speeding penalty and infringement. These trucks govern to 160 kilometres an hour, and the officials with the radar gun on the back straight are pretty darn strict, as we've come to find out.
They put their blue hat on as Wheeler gets a good run over the Sound Hill. And unfortunately, these guys really had issues trying to electronically control their limiter, so I'm not surprised that it did happen. They were just saying that they might as well just go back to watching the needle, but unfortunately the needle wobbles around so much on these things, it's hard to keep it accurate.
Well, I think everything wobbles around on these trucks. Driver, truck, the whole deal.
And it looks like he's got his left rear mud flap bolted on nicely this time.
Bit of a traffic jam behind Kelvin Bonney here. We go back on board with Troy Wheeler. That's Bonney and Ken Rowe. You see they've hit the limiter there. They're side by side as they go down the back straight. There is Brent Jones. There is Colin Hooper in the Mac. Remember, they straight line. They don't go through the BNT-S's for the Super Truck, so it's the old configuration at Pukekohe Park Raceway. Into the hairpin they come. Massive brakes on these things. Well, massive everything, really.
Troy Wheeler's birthday during the week, and his son presented him with his new flash helmet that you can see he's wearing there, and come as a big surprise as he goes battle to battle with Bonney.
Puts it on the grass. Kelvin's not going to let him get away with that. Kelvin Bonney said it was 15 years since he'd been in the Super Truck as well. Fired it up in the workshop last week. Everything was tickety-boo, and here he is doing his thing. Down the front straight, you ride here with Troy Wheeler on the outside this time of Kelvin Bonney. Just ahead of him, Ken Rowe, one of the originals, certainly one of the original mechanics in truck racing. There's a problem there in the front wheel by the look of it with Bonney's truck. We'll keep an eye on that for you.
Side by side, good little battle here. Oh! They just don't have that turn-in like his old Monaro used to.
No, absolutely dead right. Look at That visibility has got to be a problem, doesn't it, if you're at the back of the field? It's not bothering Andrew Porter because he's so far out in front it isn't funny.
There's a few hurdles involved in running in this class, and I reckon you'd need a very good helmet fan and carbon monoxide system inside the truck to ensure you make it to the end of the race.
And probably a hazmat suit, but let's not go there. Andrew Porter leads it, Malcolm Little in second. This is Ken Rowe, he's currently sitting in third. Just look at the way the suspension works as they come up and over the top of the hill. You're riding on board here with Andrew Porter. Pretty hard day at the office for the Porter Group Hydrolink Kenworth pilot. Just imagine the days before power steering with these things.
I don't think they raced them back then, Phil.
Would have had arms like gorillas. Here's Malcolm Little, three-time champion in the Freightliner.
Here's a great shot. You gotta love that. The handwork on the steering wheel. You don't see that in the modern day race car, do you?
He's busy, all right.
He needs one of those knobs that, I forget what they used to be called.
The suicide knob.
They used to just spin it.
The spinner. You're on board here, Malcolm Little, three times a New Zealand champion. Little by name, little by nature, just a little bloke. But gee, he can muscle a truck round. Here is poor old Ron Salter. He's back in the pits. It's been the story of his weekend, unfortunately. He's driving the ex-Denny Holm championship-winning truck. It was in the Eta Ripples colours in those days. Truck is owned by Les Pleasner, another one of the frequent visitors to super truck racing here in New Zealand. Troy Wheeler starting to work on his good friend Ken Rowe. We're right on board with Troy. Andrew Porter, meantime, making hay while the sun shines, just extending that lead.
He's in a class of his own up front.
On your screen, the battle for third and fourth position. Troy's dispensed with the gloves there. You'll have to get onto him, Shane.
A lot of them aren't wearing gloves.
Maybe it's the field. They need to get the feel of the wheel.
Must give them all dispensation or something like that. Maybe they wear them out too quick with the amount of handfuls of steering wheel that they're going to grab. Whoop.
Oh, that's Brett Jones.
Looks like he might be...
looks like dressage. He's going backwards nicely.
Backing it off into a safe position.
Yeah, things have gone wrong for the Jones Transport Detroit powered KM Bedford. Nothing's gone wrong for this guy, though. He's just been, well, he's taken up from where he left off, hasn't he? He's a three-time champion. He's just jumped back into the truck. They've given it a bit of a refresh, put some new diesel in it, and he's straight back to the top of the field.
Yeah, they had some problems prior to the weekend, Phil, last week when they first brought it out, as Andrew gives it some jandle heading out of the Hankook hairpin. It had quite a mechanical failure, so, you know, you can't expect to bring these things out 10 years down the track and everything's honky-dory. As Porter
out on the hill, just absolutely loving this.
It's quite a different driving position of this track. Look at the way Andrews sits there, the steering wheel right in front of him, whereas the other ones are quite, it's almost like a race car, this one. Here's a good shot of it, a little bit like NASCAR.
He's working the wheel. Down into the S's now. You're on board here with Andrew Porter. He's currently leading this one by the best part of 10 seconds.
He's having some fun and good on him.
Well, I think part of the appeal of these things is the fact they're big, they make lots of noise, they make lots of smoke, and when they get a chance, they go sideways nicely and they smoke the tyres. I hope we get to see a bit of that today. Troy Wheeler still trying to find a way around Ken Rowe. Ken Rowe, as I said, back in the old days when truck racing started in 1989, Ken Rowe was the race engineer for Robin Porter. Robin Porter was a three-time New Zealand champion. Of course, he is the father of Andrew Porter. So there's a real family connection and a real connection that goes back years and years and years. And it's just so good to see these guys back on the track at Pukekohe after a 10-year absence.
Wheeler now closing in on the back of Rowe. Into the Hankook hairpin they go.
Meantime, Andrew Porter heads off the hill and down the straight once again. One to go for him. And he's making it look easy, but I'm sure it's not. I know we talked to him at the end of the race and he comes out and he's absolutely covered in sweat. He's huffing and puffing, so he's working hard. So too is this guy. This is Colin Hooper, another one of the originals in the Big Mac. Colin currently sitting in sixth position. Just up ahead of him, it's Kelvin Bonney, the cowboy. There he is in the International. His old names we conjure with Super Tracks. I mentioned before that Ron Salter in the ex-Denny Holm truck. Kane Scott driving the McGinty's truck to a championship. I know in the South Island, Avon Hyde and Inky Tulloch, huge names in Super Track racing.
And even had Nick Ross potentially driving this truck on screen now in Australia some years ago.
Wow, that'd be something to see. There's nothing to Nick Ross.
This is involved in his business, contracting, so he's not. Here we go. Here's Porter up over Sound Hill for the last time.
Using all the curb too. As the big crowd will be on their feet here, because this guy, he's the favourite son of the Super Truck fraternity, and he's going to take the checkered flag and win handsomely by the best part of 14 seconds. Andrew Porter makes it 3 for 3 here at Pukekohe Park Raceway. There's the crew. They're happy. A job well done. And he has absolutely decimated this field. Second place is going to be Masterton's Malcolm Little in the Freightliner by the look of it. And in third place, Kenny Rowe is going to hold out Troy Wheeler right to the end. And that battle went for the whole 8 laps. Race results for the truck sees Andrew Porter make it 3 for 3. Malcolm Little is second and Ken Rowe comes through in third place. Fourth place goes to Troy Wheeler, and in fifth it's the cowboy Kelvin Bonney. Sixth goes to Colin Hooper. In seventh, Tony Broad. Brent Jones is in eighth, and in ninth place, Ron Salter.